John Gottman's research on couples and on business relationships suggests some pretty astonishing things. He shows that by examining any 5-minute video of a conversation between a couple, we can predict with 96% accuracy whether this couple will be together in 12 years. We can even predict with 80% accuracy which year they are likely to split up. So we are not guessing anymore. Some communication skills work, some don't. His research also shows that from the first sentence said in a conflict conversation, we can predict with 92% accuracy whether the discussion will reach a successful conclusion or not. Say something insulting during the first sentence, and your chances of getting the change you want drop dramatically. To be successful, your introductory message needs to be about yourself and what you want to change for you, not about the other person, and not about what is wrong inside them. It needs to be an I message. In the following role play of a business conversation, Matt abruptly ends the conversation with Tom.
Look, I'm not willing to stand around being accused of mistakes like this. I'm leaving right now.
Tom wants to tell Matt that he's not happy about Matt's way of walking out. He discusses it with his coach, Jan, planning in detail what his first sentence should be. Watch as Tom sorts out an I message that he could start the conversation with. Ideally, it will explain the behavior, how it affected him, and what that felt like.
I need to send Matt an I message to explain that this was not okay for me. I know I felt shocked and frustrated because I couldn't carry on planning with him. But I'm not sure I know how to describe the behavior that I'm not happy about.
Okay, so we want a description that doesn't claim you know what was going on inside his head and that it was bad. How could you describe what you saw and heard in concrete terms?
Well, what comes to mind is, he was rude. He stomped out, he slammed the door, he was unprofessional, he tried to bully me.
Well, I'm sorry to be the bearer of bad news, but every single description there is some version of, I know what's going on inside you, and it's bad. It sounds like he left quickly in the middle of the conversation. He walked out saying that he couldn't discuss this anymore, and the door banged when he shut it. Is that right?
Well, yeah, that's kind of right. But that's not really the bit that annoyed me. If it was only that, I might not be so upset.
Well, that's usually the case. Often we wish that in our first sentence we could kind of prove that the other person was in the wrong, and we try to ensure they can't argue back. Actually, most of the things that we are upset about never really happen physically, except in our imagination. See, the aim of the first sentence isn't to prove you are the good guy. It's to get the person to talk. Most times they will argue back even after the softest start, and that's good because now they are engaged.
Okay, I agree. So my message will be something like, when you left the room quickly the other day, I didn't get to explain my side of the situation, and that was frustrating. I really hoped we could find a solution that would work for both of us.
Perfect. What do you imagine he'd say if you said that?
Well, embarrassingly, I think he'd probably apologize. I'm starting to see what you mean about the first sentence predicting the outcome 92%. I guess I usually get caught in this mutual blame game.
Nice work. Sounds like you have your I message ready. Once he responds, then the next important thing is to restate whatever he says, to acknowledge his position, even if it is said in a way that isn't initially most helpful. When you reflect, you can restate his claim as if it was an I message, checking you understand what he saw and heard and then thought and felt. You want to set up the conversation so both of you are listening and looking for solutions rather than finding who is at fault.
It was frustrating when you left so fast the other day. I didn't get to explain my side.
I really apologize. I lost it. So sorry. Can we start again?
Sure.
A good I message says, when this happened, the concrete effect on me was this, and this is how I felt. Tom discovered how challenging it can be to describe the thing that happened without blaming. There are other ways that the speaker can hint that they are blaming the other person, rather than explaining it as a behavior. Firstly, it makes sense to avoid the words always and never because they imply that the other person is eternally like this. Secondly, avoid words like deliberately, which again claim you know what happens inside the person, that they planned for the door to make a bang, for example. Also, of course, an effective message explains the effects on you from the person's behavior, not the effects you think they had on others. The other thing to notice is that some words for how you felt about it are not exactly about your feelings, but about your theory about what the person might have been trying to do. If you say, "I felt insulted," it's pretty much a hidden way to claim they insulted you. In that case, the question you might ask yourself is, how does it feel inside me when I believe that they have insulted me? Maybe hurt or embarrassed is the word. It turns out there are not many words that genuinely describe what it was like inside you. But that's okay. You are not trying to prove your case. You are just telling them you didn't like what happened. Finally, if you want them to actually listen to your message, the next move will be to reflective listen whatever they say in reply. This is a process we call the two-step. You step forward with the I message and then step back to check where your partner is. This challenges our traditional idea about how to start the conversation when we are not happy with the other person's behavior. Often we have the idea that we are trying to get through a door by bashing it down. iMessages are like a handle, an easy way to open the door. But even with a great iMessage, very often the door will only open when you step back.